Hey guys, you know how most people never really tell you anything meaningful about their success? They just give you the highlights, the wins, the exits, the big announcements. They never tell you about how hard they had to work to get there. They never tell you about the mistakes, the failures, the scraped knees, all of those things. Well, we're about to change that. Welcome to Built, Broken, Rebuilt. Listen, I created this channel for one reason and one reason only. I wanted to give everyone a perspective that maybe is a little bit different from everything we see on the internet these days. I wanted to share real world experiences, real world advice, and real world perspectives about things that work and don't work. I've spent a lifetime building businesses, brands, visions, relationships, opportunities. They haven't always worked out. They haven't always succeeded. Some have. But we learn more from our failures and our mistakes. At least I know I do. And I think that at the end of the day, that's a much better message to share with everyone than trying to be fashionable, trendy, scripted. Nah, I tried doing scripts. I tried doing scripts for this video and I failed miserably. So we're just going to keep it real. Listen, I look at things differently than a lot of people. And maybe it's because of where I grew up. I was born and raised in Hawaii. There was this really famous surfer. His name was Eddie Aikau. And Eddie Aikau had this saying called go big or go home. I'm sure you've all heard it at some point, right? And it wasn't really about you can only go to win, go big, or you shouldn't go at all, right? Go big or go home really meant go big. You might not make it off that wave, to be fair. But you're going to go big. You're going to shoot for the moon. You're going to go for it like there's no tomorrow, right? And every single time you do that, whether you make it down the face of that wave, whatever it is in life, you might not make the perfect turn. You might not get the barrel. You might wipe out completely and rethink all of your life choices. You might break your board in half and have to go back to the beach and get a new one. Whatever that analogy is for you in life. Right? So go big was really like a stepladder. And every single time you went big, you had an opportunity to grow. And eventually you are going to get that wave. You are going to get that win. You are going to get into that relationship or that network opportunity that you were trying to get to. You are going to start that new business. You are going to take all of the wisdom and all of the things you've learned in your life. And at 50 years old, you're going to go start a new company, or you're going to take on a whole new project for another company, whatever that might be. But you're going to leverage all of that. That's what this channel is all about. So what I want to be able to share with you are practical applications, practical situations, psychology, things that I've learned along the way, things that have worked for me. Maybe they'll work for you. Because the way I look at it, in your 20s, you're all about making mistakes. Let's be honest. And you can make mistakes cheap. And there's plenty of time to learn. There's plenty of time to develop skill sets. Now, by the time you get to your 30s, this is where you've started to figure out who you are, what you're about, what you have to offer someone, and what you don't, what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. This is a great time to really start thinking about how you want the next 20 years of your life to go. And so you build on that skill set, you build on that knowledge foundation, and you keep growing. Now, by the time you get to your 40s, you're definitely there. You know who you are. You know what you pretty much want to do. And you're just in the refinement mode. And by the time you get to your 50s, and this is actually super exciting. So if you're a guy or a woman who's in their 50s right now, and you're hearing this for the first time, I want you to take a deep breath and get excited with me. Because what you've got is evidence. Yes, evidence. You've got the receipts. You've been there. You've done that. You've seen what works. You've seen what doesn't work. Maybe you were working for someone that had a company and you saw it coming. You knew they weren't going to make it, or whatever the case may be. But you definitely understand how the world works. And that's a great, great skill set to have at this point in your life. Trust me. Now, maybe you're saying, wow, Tom, everyone that I'm talking to about new opportunities, these are companies filled with millennials, and I'm terrified that I'm going to be irrelevant. How do I lead people that I don't think I can lead? Well, I think what you got to remember is when we talk about millennials, this is a generation that really values honesty. They value being seen. They value being heard. That doesn't mean that their perspective is always 100%, but it's important to include it. It's important that you now show your work. So there's an old expression: you can either be a warden or you can be a tour guide. And one of the things that I've learned about working with millennials, and I've had a very successful company filled with millennials where I was absolutely the oldest person in the company. One of the most valuable tools that I've ever learned is how to be a good tour guide. In other words, you're okay with making mistakes with your team. Now, we could go right around the mountain and our hike would take about 2 hours, but it's going to be pretty tough. Or we can go left around the mountain, much, much easier hike, but it's going to take 2 days. So when you put something like that in perspective to a team, it really helps them understand that you're with them either way. And that's often all you need to do to gain their trust. And then you're off and running. So listen, I want you to think about where you are in all of this. Are you someone that's in the middle of building, right? You're learning, you're growing. Are you someone that's in the middle of bank? You're building a runway right now. You want to figure things out for the next major step. Or maybe you're ready to bolt. You're ready to jump ship. You're ready to see what this world has to offer you outside of the protection of the corporate world or whatever the case may be. Well, guess what? That's exactly what we're getting into in the very next episode, is all about the corporate world. And should you stay? Should you wait it out? Should you jump? And what comes after that? The episode after that is dedicated to my near and dear friends who are already in their 50s and maybe they're starting over, or maybe they're thinking about starting something new. That episode is going to be dedicated to just you and how you deal with those things. Don't make this mistake by thinking that it's not going to be practical for everyone. Trust me. So if this is the kind of channel you're looking for, you came to the right place. And I look forward to sharing my life experiences, stories, good and bad, with you along the way. And let's see where we end up. Thanks a lot for checking this out. Welcome to Built, Broken, and Rebuilt. Let's get to work.